Today's message is about waking up to love. And in the last 7 years, we've been on Miracles Live 365, studying the concepts of A Course in Miracles that help us to move into literally waking up to love. So this Course in Miracles, I am what it says I am. I can do what it says I can do. It is what it says you are. What it says we are, what it says we can do is that we are love. We are here for love. We are here as love. We are here in love. And we're here to extend love. And yet, for some reason, it's not always simple for us to accept that definition of ourselves. When we were little babies, like around Noel's age and even younger, we were at that very core entry of ourselves. We came in this very pure way. We were unaware that we were separate from anyone else. We had this experience with the world where we thought it was us, and we thought our mothers were us, and we thought our fathers were us. And we had what we call oneness, that experience of oneness. We come in this place of harmony with everything. A baby is in harmony with everything. It has no judgment on anything. It's a really beautiful state to aspire to, even if it seems Pollyanna, even if it seems inappropriate for adults to walk around like that. If you watch the movie Elf, it personified that. Everything was awesome, you know? Or Mary, right? Mary at work the other day, when she's like, best day ever, you know? Until we have that moment when we're a baby, and we have that moment that comes around 2 or 3, when we have a realization that we're not in harmony with everything, that we're not one with everything, and that happens for all of us. And some of us can remember, my friend Joe Wolf often spoke to me about how he remembered this moment when he was a kid, and he was in all these foster homes and everything, and he was out in the yard, and he said, I felt like I dropped into my body, and I was so uncomfortable. I felt like I was encumbered in this very heavy body. And he talks about this a lot, if you ever listen to his talks. And I recognize that that's the moment he became aware of his existence. And in that existence, it's a kind of a cool awareness, maybe some people might call awakening to yourself, but it really is almost for falling asleep to yourself. Because you're in harmony with everything, and then you wake up to your separateness. And now you start to define yourself by what your mom and what your dad and what your relatives and what your community and what the world feels like. And if the world is rough and hard and impatient, or if the world is abrupt, or if the world is kind and gentle, we begin to make these things our truth, and we begin to try and figure out why we're deserving of this or undeserving of it, and we begin to make up stories, to rationalize why these experiences are happening. But in the separate world, separate things happen. But can we be in the separate world and still be connected to our source? That's the question. That's the question behind am I willing to awaken today? Every day you've got to ask yourself, do I or don't I live in a safe world? That's a really important question. When we're in that separate state, when we come into that separate state, we begin to project, and we begin to protect, and we begin to defend. And these are the things that help to maintain our separate state. And those are the things that we pick up on: projection, protection, and defense, because we believe that we live in a world of scarcity. And the world of scarcity shows itself to us in the way that when we're with our moms as young children, and like Noel, and we're like, I just want to be with you all the time, and I don't want you to look anywhere else. But of course our mother has other interests, and she wants to watch the TV, and she wants to read the news, and she wants to take care of the other kids, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's scarcity. My mom can't be with me all the time. I'm going to lose out. So now I need to figure out how I can get my good, because it's not going to come to me. And we start to take on this striving. And striving can really set us back. It's like, oh my gosh, now I have to protect myself. If we go with that separate state, if we go with the fear of non-existence, if we go with the fear of projection and protection and defense, we eventually will get to a place where we have exhausted ourselves. We will find ourselves completely exhausted, and we'll hit bottom consciously, and we'll say there has to be another way. And you probably have done that about 1,000 times in your life. You're like banging your head against the wall, and you're like, wait, I've banged my head 50 million times, there has to be another way. And instead of banging one more time, you lean back, and you said, higher power, greater intelligence, help me to figure out a solution, not from the level of the problem, but a higher solution. And that's when we decided to tap back in to our divine and recognize that mother never leaves, that mother has constant sight on us, That mother is constantly providing us with everything. If we decide to turn back, and then when we lean back and we allow ourselves to be inspired by that intelligence gives us the most ridiculous things to do. Like take care of each other. And you're like, but wait, how does that help me? And it's like, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you, you take care of them. And that's when your ministry is born. So, but we vacillate here, and that's where we wake up or fall back to sleep, and wake up and fall back to sleep. And no matter how much you study, no matter how much spiritual practice you do, every single day is an opportunity to take your spiritual temperature. And someday you might be holy high fire, and other times you might be like, the Grinch who stole Christmas. Like, it doesn't matter, it vacillates, and we just have to know that. The more you do it, the less likely you'll go beneath the level of hopelessness. So that's the good news. But you still have to continue to practice every single day. So the other day I was at the Course in Miracles conference. We spent a weekend, listening to teachers, listening to concepts, listening to spiritual practices, meditating, chanting, ringing the bells. I mean, we did everything. You'd think that I would be like, vibrating and levitating by the time I got out. Well, I wasn't for some reason. And the last day of the conference, I'm like, I'm going to go get myself a coffee. I'm like, I don't even drink coffee anymore. Why do I want to go spend money at Starbucks? And I was like, well, I got nothing to do. Should I go to Starbucks? Yeah, go to Starbucks. Go get a coffee. So I go to Starbucks, and there's a homeless man there. And he's standing outside, and I see him. And for some reason, I think, I don't have time. That's scarcity. I got to protect my own. I don't want to have this conversation. I just want to get in and have a cup of coffee. I'm going to take care of me, taking care of everybody else this week, and I'm just going to take care of me. So dumb. So I slip in the door. I get up to the counter. Apparently, I have more than enough time to chat up the barista. I'm like, how you doing? Love your cities. It's great. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And he gives me my coffee. And then I leave, and I slip by the guy again. I'm like, no. And I'm consciously, how you do it. You're just turning, up the shades, and you're just going to keep walking and put on that I'm really focused face, I'm really busy face. So, yeah. So I go to the next stop to buy my daughter something, and I go into my wallet to take out my credit card to pay for it, and I can't find it. And I can't find my credit card, I can't find my credit card. Now, between the Starbucks and this new shop, I know that I don't feel right. I know that I'm off course, but I think I can tolerate that at this point in my spiritual. You know what I mean? And God's like, excuse me, you missed a point, And I realized that I left my credit card back at the Starbucks, and I'm like, oh man. I slipped by him twice. Can I slip by him 3 times? Or will I freaking get the message that I'm not supposed to be sneaking by people? So I go, okay, I'm going to make the decision to do what you would have me do, which is to make eye contact. So I go back to the Starbucks. The guy immediately looks at me, and I don't have to say anything. He goes, I'll have a black coffee. And I was like, yes, you will. So I go into the Starbucks. I tell the guy's like, you left it here. I've never done that before. I've never left my card in the Starbucks before. And I was like, oh, we take a black coffee. And I get back out, and I hand it to the guy. And he looks at me, he smiles, I smile. We both feel better for this exchange. It's a miracle moment. And I look at his t-shirt, and his t-shirt says, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. That was the gospel of truth, man. That was the gospel of truth. This is just a dream. We came here, and this is just a dream where we've fallen asleep to our connection with each other. And the way that we wake up from this dream is when we get back to the realization that you are me. That I am you, that we are one. When asked what God's name was, the answer was, I am that, I am. I am that guy, I am. Why wouldn't I give myself a cup of coffee? And so, the way we can stay awake, this is the way we can stay awake, is to remember that we're in service to each other. To remember that we are here to take care of each other, and that the divine will take care of us. Those of you who have practiced that have not been disappointed. Everything that's good, beautiful, and holy that's come into my life had nothing to do with my own authorship. I know, it's kind of sad, isn't it? Oh God, I got a good script. And she's like, excuse me, we got something better. God answers prayer in 3 ways. Yes, not right now, or I have something better. So why do I continue to try and push forth my plan? So then the next thing that we do as we can begin to really dedicate ourselves to service to our brothers in the world is that we take that service and we dedicate that to our divine. That we're engaged in becomes a spiritual practice. So that your spiritual practice no longer rests on the early hour morning, that your spiritual practice is being thread through your entire life. And that's how we stay awake. And that's how we stay awake to love. And if we stay awake to love, all of our needs are met. All of our answers are given. All of our riddles are unraveled. And we never have to feel that agitation of being left or alone or separate from anyone. We begin to actually heal that illusion of separation and live in harmony with everything, just like those little babies. And you are the people to do that. So that's the word.